Hey you guys, welcome back to our channel, the #1 place for people who love design, art and all things creative. You are watching Dantier and Balogh's channel. My name is Laszlo and I do illustration and graphic design, usually. But today I'm going to show you how to make your Windows laptop run faster by installing a new hard drive in it. In a way, this video is a continuation of Jacqueline's previous "Which computer should you buy for interior architecture and design work" video, in which we argued that Lenovo's ThinkPad series are really solid laptops and a pretty good choice when it comes to that sort of workload. CAD software, rendering, 3D modeling, and whatever else you would get up to as an interior architect and designer. ThinkPad should be able to handle that sort of workload without a problem. And while we still stand by everything she said in that video, we have concluded that the current configuration of her Lenovo ThinkPad P51 in 2022 is starting to show its age a little bit. Things are loading up a bit slower than they should, Windows booting time is going up, and it's starting to get into the way of her workflow. But that doesn't mean that we need to chuck this laptop out the window and get a new one. No. Since we are on a pro Windows system here, there's actually quite a lot which can be done with the hardware. And I know that updating and installing an SSD drive sounds like a crazy amount of work, and it sounds, well, super intimidating if you have never done stuff like this before. But I promise you, it's much simpler than you would imagine. Besides, I'll be here with you, holding your hand through the whole thing. From opening up your laptop to the point we move all your old stuff from your old hard drive to this new hard drive. I am going to keep this as beginner friendly as possible. Okay, you ready? Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to split this video into two parts. First, we do the actual physical upgrade, opening up your ThinkPad, showing you where to put a new drive and all that. Then later on I go through what to do with the software side of things once the drive is in. And we want it to be your main hard drive where Windows, your apps and all your stuff basically lives. Before we begin though, I wanna give out some pointers to the absolute beginners. Things you should know if you have never done stuff like this before. If you feel a bit more confident in the world of IT, you more or less know what you are doing and you just wanna see my walkthrough, you can skip this chapter and just go to the next one. But for the newcomers, just a couple disclaimers. First of all, you are doing this at your own risk. Opening up your laptop and modifying stuff in there will violate any warranties that you may still have. So only do this if you are okay with that. Secondly, we will be cloning our old hard drive's content onto a new hard drive. So technically, there should be no data loss in the process whatsoever. But if you have crucially important files on your laptop, please make sure that you have them backed up somewhere else, just in case. And lastly, about the technology itself. So the laptop we are using here is a Lenovo ThinkPad P51 Workstation. And I am going to install a solid state drive, this thing, to be the main disk drive of the laptop, instead of one of these old-fashioned hard disk drives. As you can see, HDDs are quite big, they are chunky, they have lots of mechanical parts, spinning disks inside this chassis, which makes them noisy, more likely to malfunction. And since these types of disks have been around the block, I think it's fair to say that they are, how to put this, they are on their way out of the world of computing. As opposed to modern solid-state drives, SSDs, which look and feel like, well, a card. No moving parts, more stability, and boy, these things are fast. To give you an idea, even the cheapest, slowest SSDs are about 30 times faster than any old school HDD drive. So, I am going to install the crucial P2 NVMe type M2 solid state drive. These very scary sounding abbreviations stand for the form factor of the drive and the type of connection it's using. I don't want to overwhelm you with the details of what types of hard drives and solid state drives are out there these days because you will find better videos on that topic. But these are the two main factors that you need to be knowing about your own laptop. What shape can you work with and what type of connection it's using. Now I'm telling you all this because unless you have the same hardware that I do, I can't really help you with choosing a compatible SSD for your system. You need to do your own research on that before you buy anything. If you just Google your exact type of laptop and add SSD upgrades to the end, that usually would give you the right idea. But if that proves to be unhelpful, just get in touch with your laptop brand's customer service and ask what SSD would be right for you. Oh, and before I forget, in terms of the storage capacity, either get the same size that you already have or a bigger one, because we want to be doing some data cloning later on, okay? Now we can begin. Okay, things that we are going to need. Your laptop, turned off, a small Phillips type screwdriver, A little non-metallic thingamajig you can use for taking the plastic back off, like an old credit card, and of course the hard drive. Additionally, if you are on a ThinkPad P51 like I am, or on the P50 in fact, you also need to buy one of these plastic trays to install the hard drive into securely. Oh, and the little M2 type 3mm screw, which I wanna make sure you do have, because oftentimes manufacturers just forget to include this little screw, and there is nothing more annoying than getting ready to work only to realize that this bit is missing. Don't worry about a thing though, I'll leave you a fully detailed shopping list in the description if you wanna buy any of this stuff. There may be affiliate links, but this video is otherwise not sponsored in any way, shape or form, just so you know. Now, IT Safety 101, before you do anything at all, we need to remove the battery. So let's just pop this out following the little graph on the back, then we can start loosening all these little screws around this big piece of plastic which comes right off. Please note that I say loosening and not taking the screws off. I found out the hard way that the screws are being held onto the back by miniature washers. You can't actually take these screws out, okay? Once it's loose all around, starting from the top by this little rectangular dent, we can use our non-metallic tool to carefully but firmly peel the machine open, okay? Like so. As you can see, the ThinkPad has 3 slots for data drives. There is this big one, a 2.5 type SATA drive slot, this is our old school HDD in there, and these 2 narrow empty spaces we can use for additional M.2 type SSDs. If you already have an SSD installed, naturally you'll need to use the empty tray, but if yours look like mine and both of them are empty, use the one that says tray 0. I am not 100% sure if this makes any difference which slot you are using, but let's just say, in the world of IT, basic mathematical logic tends to apply, so 0 comes before 1, okay? Now I don't know why most tutorials on YouTube fail to mention this, but you need to put the SSD card into the tray first, and then mount the tray onto the laptop, not the other way around. The other way around doesn't work, okay? So you slide it in with the smooth side up under this flap, or you can just take the flap off, and then you secure it in with a little screw later. Again, like most IT hardware, you need to be firm but very careful while handling these flimsy things. Make sure nothing gets broken, but at the same time it is a bit tricky to get this one in place, so just push it until you see where the securing screw will have to go. Like so. Then you can put it in place, connect it to your laptop's port and screw it in. It needs to be pushed onto the port until you hear a slight click. Then once you make sure it's where it belongs, screw it in with the screw that is already included within the laptop. If you did everything right, nothing should feel forced about this, everything should just fit nicely into place. Once it's there, all we need to do is assemble the whole laptop back as it was, then turn it on. And that's the physical part of the job done. if you're still with me, let me assure you, we're halfway there. What we need to do now is get this new drive ready for cloning. For that we need to initialize and format this new drive, which basically just means we have to make our laptop recognize that this is a new, clean data drive which is ready to be used. To do this we have to go into the disk management settings. So I just type disk management onto this little search bar and open this thing up here which says create and format hard disk partitions. Now as soon as you click on this, the upcoming pop-up window warns us that the laptop knows we have put a new hard drive in. So it wants us to initialize it first and foremost. All these settings are good as they are, so I'm just gonna click OK. Once this goes away, you get to see the whole picture. Your one should look maybe not identical, but pretty similar to my setup here. All these dark blue bits are the old hard disk drive partitions. This is where Windows lives. And this one black box which says unallocated, that is the new solid state drive. Now what you do is you right click onto this black box and create a new simple volume. The volume size, you should just leave it as big as it gets. Now onto the next window, it asks you what letter you want to associate the drive with. You know how Windows is usually on the C drive, that kind of thing. I wouldn't worry about any of these settings too much, since we are going to clone the old hard disk anyway. So all of these naming bits and bobs are temporary. One thing that you should double check though is that the filing system is set to NTFS. This is what new Windows systems prefer to use. You finish this process and if it all went well, the drive should be dark blue now, just like the old hard drive. Now we are ready to format. We do another right click onto this SSD and go format. Here you need to make sure the file system is set to NTFS again, and I would tick off the quick format option. Let's just leave this thing run for as long as it wants to, okay? It shouldn't take too long anyway. My drive is 1 TB and it took roughly 6 minutes to format, just so you know. Okay, getting there, I promise. So now, the new drive is basically ready, it's prepared, so now we get to clone the old hard drive onto it. Cloning basically means we're going to make the system take everything on the old hard drive, Windows, your apps, your settings, your files, everything, and safely and securely migrate it into this new SSD drive. Just so in theory, the whole laptop will look and feel like as you left it, except it's going to be much faster because of the speed of an SSD. You don't want to start a new clean version of Windows, do you? And go through the tedious process of getting all your files back manually and all your apps and all that. Who needs that? Now to do this cloning, we are going to need some kind of a third-party disk management software. I am going to use this one called Acronis TrueImage, for no other reason that it's free to use if you have purchased a Crucial drive, like I did. The good news is whatever brand of SSD you end up buying, their company will likely provide some sort of a premium disk management software as part of its package, which I would recommend using whatever they give to you, because I guarantee it's going to be better than start endlessly googling around for free cloning software, because that, in my experience, is an endless goose chase. If a disk management software is free, it's usually no good, okay? Each and every disk management software will look and feel somewhat different, of course, but the general workflow is going to be the same. This is what you do. You find the option that lets you clone or create an exact replica of an old hard drive, making sure that it lets you clone a system drive for Windows. Then you select the source disk, which is your old hard drive, then you select the target disk, which is the new hard drive, and then once it's all set up, you just let the software do its thing. It might ask you for some additional settings here and there. Like here, Acronis made me choose between different cloning methods, which I set to replace disk on this machine. Again, just to make sure that Windows gets cloned perfectly. But besides that, you just click proceed. This, depending on how big and how full your old drive is, could take anywhere between a couple of minutes to a couple of hours. But this is the part you don't want to rush anyway, so go watch a movie or something and let it do its job. To give you an idea, I was cloning Jacqueline's pretty full 1 TB big hard drive, which took a little over 3 hours to complete. Once the cloning process is done, there are two ways you can go on about making sure that this new one becomes the primary drive of your laptop. Option 1 is to simply take off the back again and physically take out the old hard drive. If you're like me, had an HDD installed in it, well, these big boys pop straight out of a ThinkPad. All you need to do is disconnect this cable by pulling it upwards from the motherboard, this one, and then you pull on this little tab and the hard drive literally just sort of pops out of its slot. No screws whatsoever. Really cleverly done. Or we can manually change where Windows boots from by getting into your laptop's BIOS settings. Yeah, the BIOS settings. You know that weird, old school matrixy looking bit that sort of pops up for like a millisecond before your laptop loads up? That's the BIOS. The BIOS controls the computer's most basic system settings, which you can usually see booting up before your operation system, in our case Windows 10, loads up, takes control and makes your laptop, usable. Amongst many other things, BIOS determines where Windows should boot from in your laptop. And since we have two identical drives installed in your laptop at the moment, you basically have Windows twice in your laptop, right? Now the thing is, unless you tell your laptop to load up Windows from the new drive, it will just keep using the old one. So unfortunately we do have to mess with some basic BIOS settings, which I know looks and feels incredibly intimidating, but again, it will be fine. Just follow me. Okay, there is no elegant way of showing this really, so I'm just gonna point my camera to our laptop. What we need to do is to make our laptop do an advanced restart. So let's search for the advanced startup settings in the search bar down here. This is the one. Now in this recovery window, you click on Restart Now. And once this Windows 10 thing loaded up, you select the Troubleshoot option. Then Advanced Options, and here you select UEFI Firmware Settings. Don't quote me on this one, I don't even know what any of this means. Anyway, now you click on Restart. Your laptop will restart, and here when you see this big red Lenovo sign, you hit Enter. Please note that different brands and different laptops may have different ways of entering BIOS. Most commonly brands will either ask you to hit the F1 or the F2 keys, maybe the delete keys to enter BIOS. As you can see, the ThinkPad P51 wants you to hit Enter to interrupt a normal startup. Now here we hit Enter again to pause this very unnerving countdown. And as the graph says, hit the F1 key to enter the BIOS setup utility. There it is, we are in. This is what BIOS should look like, more or less, no matter what laptop you are using. Now there's no mouse and cursor in the BIOS, so we need to use our basic keys to navigate through our way here. Enter, escape, the arrow keys, that kind of thing, okay? So let's hit the right arrow key and then enter the startup settings. Here the first step, which says boot, we hit Enter on. Right, this is the current boot priority order. As you can see, our new NVMe type drive, which we installed to slot number 0, is down at number 4 on this list. Well, what we want is to get this to the first place, right? So we go down to it with the arrow keys. Then, as this little help box at the side says, you can use the plus and minus keys to basically bump up your selected item. So I'm just gonna hit plus a couple times until it's scrolled back to the first place, just like that. Then, as it says on the bottom, you hit F10 to save and exit, upon which your laptop will restart, booting from the new drive, which hopefully will be a much quicker restart than what you are used to. Now once your laptop loaded up, the very last step is to basically clear out the old hard drive by going back to the disk management tool and just basically format it, just like you did the new one. What happens now with this drive is up to you. If it still works fine, it was just slow for applications and Windows, you can use it as a data drive and store some, your files there. But again, if you're tired of this whole thing and you really don't want to mess with the BIOS and all that, basically if you're not fussed, just take it out of the laptop, okay? Guys, if you followed along, if you managed to do this whole thing on your own, especially if this was your first time, I just want to say I'm very proud of you, because that's kind of a big deal. So honestly, kudos to you. Again, I just wanna state the average NVMe type SSD is so much faster than your old school HDD hard drive. Your laptop is going to basically feel brand new again. So what you have done here is you future-proofed your system for, well, hopefully for a very long time. Now before you go away, I just wanna say to all regulars that we are completely aware that this is not the sort of content that you are used to seeing from us. What our creative crew is used to is videos focusing on architecture, graphic design, interior design, illustration. But since all of these creative disciplines are so technology dependent these days, we thought it wouldn't hurt if every now and then I would sit down and teach you a little bit about the tech that you are using all day, every day. I can only hope that some of you will find this useful. Okay? Listen, feel free to leave a like to help us reach even more people with this channel, and I'll hope to see you next time with some other cool, creative, techie stuff. Okay? But until then, goodbye!